Amateur Girl and Fanboy present the Big Bad Glass Movie Review.
The Banshees of Inisherin.
The director Martin McDonagh had 4 plays on the London stage at the same time. Only one other famous playwright had this privilege. Who was it? Stick around to the end of the video to find out.
Welcome back to our channel where we review movies and tell you if you should see them. So today I'm Amateur Girl because I'm an amateur in film, and we have
Fanboy. I'm Fanboy here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. I like to do the Big Bad Glass Movie Review. I think my sister does. I'm sorry, Amateur Girl doesn't particularly care for this type of review, but this is what I like to do. Show you how much I enjoy or did not like the movie. So today we're going to be talking about
the Banshees
of Inisherin.
Maybe. I don't know. It comes from my Irish roots, which is not an Irish accent, which is not even a really good British accent. If the Brits are watching, they would say that's terrible. Sorry. Anyways, so back to we're Irish. We have some Irish roots. So yes, too. I took
we're like the opposite of the screenwriter or the writer Martin McDonagh, who was Irish, but he was raised in London. So and we were English. But our family moved to Cork County, Ireland, for God knows what reason. The English were living there, and they lived as English in Ireland.
But I will say I did the 23andMe, and our heritage is Irish and British. Those are the two top.
Not the Norwegian?
No, I'll send it to you.
Okay,
so
you did another one. Okay,
you are correct. So actually we are mostly those things.
Right.
So so first of all, I'm a huge fan of Colin Farrell. I actually saw him in person one time at a little cafe in Los Angeles. And it was pretty cool. Like, we were sitting in this little dark cafe, and he came in to get takeout, and people just kind of looked, because LA, they don't really, they don't say anything going, they don't ask. Well, in this particular place,
right. You see him all the time. Yeah,
and then he left, and then everyone started whispering. And, was kind of cool. I was like in the same level. Love him. And then there's Brendan Gleeson. So this was it's a great film. I actually couldn't watch all of it. It was a little too dark for me. So I did love it, but I couldn't watch all of it. I actually went and looked at the synopsis of what happened at the end.
Good Lord. Amateur Girl.
I know.
Amateur Girl.
It was too hard to watch, like, the demise of their relationship. It was just very painful to watch.
Really?
I mean, literally. And then the things with the fingers, which I won't say what happens, but I couldn't watch the continuation of started with one, and you can probably conclude.
It's an absurd. It's a theater of the absurd. What I kept thinking about, even right from the get-go, was Samuel Beckett, the great playwright, Samuel Beckett, novelist, playwright, who used to write in French. He's Irish, but he used to write in French, because he went to France early on in his life, and ended up being stuck in, I guess started in Paris during the war, and he started working for the French resistance. So anyway, he has a very strong connection with the French. So he used to write a lot of his stuff in French, which is very strange. But his most famous play being Waiting for Godot, which is about 2 guys. I don't know if you're familiar with that. You're just a straight musical theater person, huh? Waiting for Godot, very famous, classic play about, about 2 guys standing on the side of the road waiting for Godot. And no one knows who the hell Godot is. We never find out who Godot is. We don't know. And they just stand there and talk about life and the meaning of life. And they're still waiting for this guy, Godot, who never shows up. That's the whole play. So it's kind of like in this movie, you got these 2 friends. And for some reason, that one of the friends decides he doesn't want to be around the other guy anymore, because he feels like he's wasting his time, his precious time, where he could be working on his music and I felt this way many times before too, that you want to be by yourself to do some work and do things that you want to do. and not be bothered by people, right? So this guy just took it, and I'm sure many artists have felt exactly the same way. So he just took it to another level and added this. But now this hasn't been mentioned. Now the writer is Martin McDonagh, is actually Irish, but grew up in London, started out as a playwright, has written like many plays that have won Tony Awards, and I guess whatever the London version of that is. So he's got, and they're plugged into like little cycles. Now the Banshees of Inisherin was actually one of the last plays he wrote, in one of his cycles, play cycles, that they never produced because he thought it was terrible as a play. So no one knows because I don't know, I guess no one has read it, or I don't know, it's top secret or something. So did he take that play and turn it into a screenplay? He's an interesting guy because he says that he has no respect for the theater. Even though he's gained his first success in the theater, he says he has high respect for film. It's kind of like the opposite of the old days where people didn't respect film, but they respected theater. In his case, he respects film, but he doesn't respect the theater. He says, I don't know why. I don't have that much respect for the theater, even though I've been such a success in it. I don't understand. Maybe he feels that film is a much bigger enterprise. There's more money involved.
Yeah,
when you
I agree with that.
produce a movie and all this stuff. So who knows what his reasons for all that is. But he definitely, now he has never said out loud that he's influenced by Samuel Beckett, but there have been quite a few articles written about the influence of Beckett on him, because it is theater of the absurd. And we talked about the menu just recently, and the menu also had that theater of the absurd about it, right? So two very interesting movies, and this one they kind of tie together in that respect. So for me, I have a lot of theories about this which I don't think I will go into in our little video about this relationship. Now, I can't remember what he said about it, the writer, but the main thing is the idea of wasting time, wasting people's time, and this guy would take it to an absurd level by cutting off his fingers, right?
Yes.
So,
but I mean, it's sort of like alluding to what you're thinking is, I mean, there wasn't a lot of women around for them to choose from. So
right, the only smart one on that whole island was the sister, and she looked at both of them, even the guy who because the fiddle player took himself so seriously. You're freaking ridiculous, you're both freaking ridiculous. You like to use that word, right? And she got the hell off the island, and tried to talk them to getting it. But for some reason, people won't leave. And I know what the main one of the little themes is that the Civil War is going on across the bay there, right? The Irish Civil War. And if you know anything about the Irish Civil War, first they fought against the English. The Irish fought against the English, threw the English out, or mostly threw them out, and then which is who we're related to, the English of Ireland, and then they couldn't decide how. One group wanted to keep connections with England, and the other group did not. The IRA types, the Irish Republican Army, did not want to keep ties with England. So then they had a civil war back in 1923. So that's going on across the bay there, and so you see like a reflection of that in their relationship. They were once brothers, but now they're split apart, fighting with each other, and it didn't seem like there'd be any compromise. And also a bit of everybody seems like Amsterdam. Everybody seems to be making these kind of thematic films, except this is much more successful, that tie into the American conflict right now between the Trumpians and the rest of America, right? So I don't know if we were ever brothers with those type of people. Sorry, if you're a Trumper, I'm very sorry. I want to be your brother, but sometimes it's difficult, fellow American. So so you can see that working out between them. But I have other ones, because those two guys on this island, and they're always like buddies. I see a lot of latent homosexuality going on in there, and the fingers are almost phallic symbols in themselves. And then I don't want to give away too much, certain things happen that emphasize the phallic symbolism of it, right? And then the
Well,
band.
that's what I meant before. That's what I meant before when I said there wasn't a lot of women for them to choose from.
Right. Yeah, and the poor little, the poor boy, Barry, whatever that his name was, the actor, was actually, his story is interesting too. Evidently, he came out of nothing and has worked his way into being a film star or a film actor, right? So yeah, it's
the phallic symbols. The phallic symbols. Go ahead.
Oh, the phallic symbols, yes, right. Well, that's all I got to say about that. And then the banshee I was going to say was the lady, the old lady on the road. She's about as close to being a banshee in that, and predicting ominous things, on the island, right? So in general, this writer, he likes to write about Ireland. He does almost all of his plays are associated with Ireland, except maybe In Bruges. I've seen all of his things except Seven Psychopaths, which I just rented for $2.79 on Prime. So, which I find a fairly absurd price. For some reason, you never see that price. $1.99, 99 cents, but $2.79. Interesting for that. So I got that one. So that would fulfill all the movies this guy's made. I've never seen any of his plays. So unfortunately, I'm not a rich guy living in London or New York, so I don't get to go to plays like that. I guess I could read them, somewhere. Maybe he's got a collection. But I read over some of the synopses of the plays, look very interesting. But most of them all take place in Ireland. The plays do. The movies, In Bruges was about he likes hitmen for some reason. In Bruges is about a hitman that are in Bruges, and there's a very interesting story. If you've never seen that movie, well worth watching. And then he's got one of the plays is about a hitman who loses his hand. It's like, what is this about appendages that he doesn't like? So then he goes back. And I think Christopher Walken played this part on stage. And he goes back looking for his hands for whatever reason. So I'm not familiar with his plays. I just was reading some of the synopsis. So very interesting writer. He'll go on and do more things. He did the 3 billboards of Ebbing, Missouri. I think that's how you say it. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen that, you got to see it. If you haven't seen Banshees, you've got to see that. I think those are his 2 best films. What's that?
We need to wrap it up because I think we're about to run out of time.
Okay, so today we reviewed
The Banshees of Inisherin.
And
The Banshees of Inisherin.
Again, like the menu, about 90%. And take a sip. So about 90%. So both very good movies. The new movies on I think they're both on HBO, aren't they? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the menu are both on HBO, so catch them both.
William Shakespeare was the only other playwright who had 4 plays running at once in London.